Welcome to another episode of Women in Focus. And today, the person that I am interviewing is a person that I've admired for such a long time. Her name is Annie Ohana, and she stands for justice, she stands for equality, and she stands for inclusion. And she is our Woman in Focus today. Annie, you're most welcome in our program.
Honored to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing well.
Okay, so you and I, for the very first time, I think we met.
I believe it was like before COVID.
Yes.
Just through the radio station, right?
Right.
Gurpreet Singh.
Right.
That would have been our first meeting. Yeah.
Now, you have been very vocal about a lot of things.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Most passionate about what?
Oh, that's a great question. I truly believe, as your intro said, the idea of justice,
Yes.
but intersectional justice.
Yes.
So it's not just one issue, it's not just one thing, especially as an educator. The idea of like, how do we look at situations in terms of how it affects the most people possible? So I would say that's the crux of what I'm most passionate about. And then from there, it's like a tree. It just blooms and
different aspects
in
join
different
it.
aspects, yes.
Now, you are able to do all that because you're a school teacher as well.
Yes, I was always told from a very young age that either I'd be a politician, a lawyer, an astronaut, or like a teacher.
Is that what you wanted? Or
You know what? I was on the law track, to be fair. Like I really was definitely going that way. Circumstances were as they were. School could be very expensive, and I ended up doing some language teaching in downtown Vancouver. Now, in high school, I was in a military program in the United States. And in those programs, you teach your peers. So actually, like pretty much from the age of 14, I was teaching in some way, shape, or form.
Wow.
So it's not that it was kind of like a side tangent, but as I tell my students, life can be very curvy, can be very windy. You can be the most dedicated person to one path, and you find yourself elsewhere. But I think the long story short of all that is that in choosing teaching, because it was always there, in choosing teaching, and the way I teach and why I teach is the fact that then you can do all those other things. I'm in the same rooms as I would have been maybe if I pursued law, to be honest, right?
Exactly.
So it's more about and then falling in love with it, right? Really seeing the opportunities, the radical space that a classroom can be.
Yes.
And because I teach in a most amazing place, I've taught in one school for like 15 years, the diversity allows you to explore the world.
Without any effort to correct people, or do you learn to correct? Because that's a very important question.
100%. I guess
you.
No, because like my parents said that I was very young.
Yes.
In Montreal, my parents owned a small business, Lingerie Bien Belle, a clothing store, and they just said like since birth I've been very kind of pushy, or I've been very like wanting to help, wanting to talk, right? Showing my displeasure like when it was warranted. So I think it is natural. However, I think there's absolutely a skill set and an art to correction that doesn't put down, that doesn't denigrate, right?
Okay.
So, and I think it's true for adults as it is with kids. When we're talking about passion and issues of justice, it can be very fraught with violence and vitriol. You know this all too well. And so the reality of that world, it's not a safe world. So if I am to engage in a discussion, I've talked to people who are like neo-Nazis, like all kinds of people that, they don't even want to see you alive, let alone other things. How do you correct in those moments, right? But also to the child, right? I mean, I teach secondary, but I've had sessions with elementary school kids. I do programming around that as well. So how do you tell a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old that, they've done something wrong, right? Without shutting down the joy of learning.
That's right.
So I think, and those skills, they apply everywhere. Whether you're talking to a politician, you're talking to someone who's on the opposing side of a demonstration, right? To the student, maybe is struggling, but is trying. So how you correct that is very important.
For students, you would be probably more empathetic and...
Yeah,
and
empathetic,
Do you ever get mad at politicians when you have to...
100%.
And lose it?
Ooh, have I ever lost it in front of a politician? I have to say, even on the front lines, even when it's really, there's police and I tend to be the calmer one. I tend to be more rational and want to like find a way forward, even during the anti-Soji protests, which were very difficult.
Yes.
There we were, a couple hundred people facing off against thousands at our own like STA building.
Yeah.
Even at that moment, as angry as I was, as scared as I was, because I was seeing people getting hurt, and I still maintained decorum.
You're cool.
Yeah. I'm angry right now.
Okay, don't be angry.
No,
Because I want to take you back to your childhood.
Sure, let's do
There
it.
must be something in there that brings out all this. So let's take a short break and come back.
Sounds good.
Get the ideas all formulated.
Gotcha.
Annie Ohana is our Woman in Focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Annie Ohana is our Woman in Focus today. So being born in Montreal, let's take you there.
Yes, Montreal.
Are you the oldest in...
I am, yes. I'm the oldest in my family.
Yes.
And I was the first person in my like larger family born outside of Morocco or the Middle East.
Okay, so let's talk about Morocco.
Yes.
Because that is so exotic.
Yes, yeah. I think for a lot of people it is. Yeah, so I'm one of those people, like, white passing. So if you look at the rest of my family, they're people of color. And yeah, so my entire, like, aunts, uncles, grandma, like, all of that, the upper lineage are all Moroccan. So I feel very blessed to have that lineage because, so first of all, I'm a Sephardic Jew, meaning like people that don't come from Europe, right? So African, like Muslim countries, right? Things like that. So Morocco is one of those countries.
So main religion in Morocco then?
Sorry? The main religion is Islam, right?
Yes.
But there, for a very long time, there was a contingent of Jews there. A little bit of history lesson, but like the Spanish Inquisition that pushed a lot of people out of Spain and Portugal. So that would have been one of the, like, maybe that's why I'm fair, because some people might have come down to Morocco.
So the family can be traced back to...
Yeah, I haven't done my DNA yet, but my name is interesting because it does connect perhaps to Portugal.
Ohana.
Yes. So that diversity, that coexistence actually lies at the root of the passion. Because it's not so simple, right? It's, being from a country or in family being from a country that have always existed in that coexistence, good, bad, ugly, right? And so even today, as we battle with the idea of coexistence, as we seem to be more divided than others, that sense of justice comes from like my family. It comes from my lineage, comes from my blood, right? It's not about politics. It's that around the world, in India and other places, like there's so much diversity. And the one thing I can't stand truly is politicians or those with power that seem to suggest that diversity is not possible. And I know I want my students to feel that, like, yes, we're all Canadian, and that's beautiful, but we also have this complexity, a lot of us. And I think we need to celebrate that more and really make sure that that's not erased.
Because I think in your own family, with the background that you have just mentioned, and your classroom that has got so many different cultures, right? In your own classroom, how many different languages are spoken, do you
Really
think?
good question, yeah. Oh, gosh. I think about my Socials 9 class, and we've probably got at least 15 different languages there.
I think you've found a niche, you know.
Yeah.
Now, in Montreal, when you were growing up there, so did the language come easy to you?
Yes, because so why would a Moroccan family end up in Quebec, right?
That's right.
Because, well, Morocco was colonized by the French. So my parents truly, their first languages are Arabic, right, and Hebrew.
Right.
So French came as a colonial language, just like English in India, right?
Yeah.
So when they moved, it was only natural that the place they felt most comfortable would have been a French-speaking place.
Right.
So
and Montreal was a great fit.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, no, I truly was born of it. It's actually harder for the Hebrew and Arabic because I never had the chance to truly learn it. Just more like family dynamics. So I can understand a little bit, but I can't speak it. I can't write it. Right.
But Hebrew is such a or Arabic, I should say, is such a guttural language,
yes,
isn't
that's
it?
right. Yes.
And is French a guttural language?
No, it's not. So no, there are differences. I know some people can hear the little bit of the trace of accent I have, but others can't. But when I try to speak other languages or traveling and just trying to say a couple words, people kind of go, wait, because all of a sudden the French will come out, right? Or the small moments of like Hebrew or Arabic, right? I was just in Brazil and that was happening. Like all these words were coming to me because I couldn't get the Portuguese. But all of a sudden, this Arabic word comes forward, the French word comes forward. And I'm like, no, you can't say that. Spanish was coming forward because I did take that in high school. So it's very jumbling, right? Yeah, no, very different languages. Hebrew and Arabic are quite close.
Yes.
They tend to, especially like in the Middle Eastern area.
Right.
So that's a little bit easier. But no, English and French are quite different.
So you said you are the oldest in your. So did the whole family, your mom and dad, and their siblings also?
No, not at all. No. So what happened was, again, and maybe people know this, but a lot of the Jewish diaspora went to Israel, right? And so that's where the majority of my family is. I do have some family in the United States, but it was really just my mom and dad that came to Montreal.
Very adventurous then.
Yes, very much so. Very different.
So, and you have two more sisters.
Yes,
right?
that's right. I have two twin siblings, 11 years younger than me. They were born in Vancouver, so they never got the Montreal experience.
So you were born in Montreal and they were born in Vancouver.
Correct.
Why did your parents then move to Vancouver?
The weather. The weather. It was, I mean, I think they loved life in Montreal, but that snow, those conditions for Moroccans, can you imagine? Even though my dad's from the mountains, the Atlas Mountains, Montreal, Canada is a whole other level. So they had just heard that Vancouver was more temperate, but courageous people, We'd also gone to Florida. So it was interesting how I always call my parents like immigrant superheroes because they never seem to be afraid to migrate. As difficult as it was.
Pack the kids and the trunks and suitcases.
And we know how hard that is. And yet I think like especially my mom and dad who also went from Morocco to Israel, Palestine, that's a lot of times to have to move and learn a new language every single time. Establish yourself. My parents are more like jack of all trades, that there isn't I think my parents do have PhDs, but not the academic PhD. So to think about, and it was a difficult upbringing sometimes. We had a lot of tragedy, a lot of trauma to overcome, and yet they did it, and they did it with love.
I got to meet your mom.
Yes, that's right.
She's an amazing woman.
Yes, she really is.
And your sisters have started a company.
Yes, So they are in the film industry. They're incredible hair artists, hairdressers, and but more recently, this is the way of the world, right? It's the reality of you need a second thing. But they started a candy company, and what's special about that? I just have to say it. I have to plug it.
Yes.
Ohana Sweets. What I'm really, and it's really Angela it's Angela and Alicia, the sisters. Angela's really been dedicated to providing those custom services.
Yes.
So I'm really proud of her because she's doing a halal product and a vegan, and I'm really proud of that. To me, that is very meaningful. Not just to do candy, but really to think about what different communities might need and so we're in Surrey. So what might be lacking, and that's certainly part of it. So it's been really cool. It's opening days, quite literally. She just started, but I'm very proud of her for trying to think about. You can call it niche, I guess, but more importantly, culturally responsive to what might be the needs of our community.
You talked about Brazil. I want to come to that because you've done a lot of. You've participated in a lot of forums and talked a lot about, you also talked about soji.
Yes,
that's
correct.
another. I mean, you and I could talk for such a long time. But let's take a short break and come
absolutely.
back. Annie Ohana is our Woman in Focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Women in Focus. Annie Ohana is our Woman in Focus today. Brazil, you just came back from there.
Yes.
What was that
oh my goodness, it was incredible. So first of all, I'm very lucky to do international solidarity work in a number of ways, but the BC Teachers Federation has these incredible opportunities also.
Wow.
So this was one of those times. I went during spring break, the school's spring break, and it was the first International Anti-Fascism Congress.
Wow.
So in today's world, where we see fascism kind of raging its head in so many ways, to go to the south of Brazil and to see people who were actively in that fight in their own country. A lot of youth. It was like, 3,000 people conference. To be in that, to learn from, and there were people from all around the world. There were even some Moroccans there, Philippines, India. It wasn't just Latin America. And really it was more of a learning session. We did have a chance to make some connections with some teacher organizations in that area. So that's part of the work. We want to establish what we call intercambios, so like a shared relationship. So that's usually the work I do. So Namibia, Palestine, Europe, wherever it is. And so, yeah, it was a fantastic couple days. I was very quiet because I don't speak Portuguese. So I was really the listener. And Brazil is very beautiful. It was very hot. But really, like, the conference was about how do we fight back? What are the lessons we can learn? What are the stories? And really, again, just justice. It goes back to that justice, but definitely not like charity model, more transformative. So the conversations were, I think there are conversations people are afraid to have in North America.
Many people are also right now afraid to talk about one topic that you and I have talked about, Soji. And I don't think I'll do justice to it, but I will ask you, in a nutshell, can you explain what Soji is?
I'll take it from a parent perspective.
Okay.
If you want your children to belong, we all want that, right?
Yes.
You want your child to go to school and to be appreciated, and to be taught, right? And not to find harm in a school setting. So what Soji is looking at the statistics around who was feeling left out, who was being harmed, literally, physically, emotionally, all kinds of ways, and realizing that our education system could do a better job at thinking about inclusion, at thinking about how does every child feel welcome in the school. So through age-appropriate resources, whether it's picture books or little things like that, to really just be mindful that we have to accept the child as they are and not force upon them any one thing, right? That's what Soji is. It is not curriculum. I guess there's resources, but not really any direct resources. And I tell parents this: if you teach your child respect, if you teach your child pride in their identity, if you teach your child how to go out and treat other people with kindness, that's Soji. That's it. And maybe in older grades where some of those realities come up, just very naturally so, around gender, around sexual orientation, we are not going to demonize a child for having those questions or wanting to know more.
So is the curriculum from kindergarten onwards?
Yes, it is. But it's not, again, it's not curriculum per se, right? It's just that, I guess a very specific example. If you have a young boy who has an older sister and the sister paints her nails, and the 4-year-old comes to daycare with their nails painted, we are not going to penalize the child. We're not going to say, take that off. Boys don't do that. It is not the teacher's role to hurt the child, to correct the child, to say, boys don't do that, right? And to force them into that box, right? Same thing for girls. In Canada, under our BC Human Rights Act, right, we have to protect religion, we have to protect identity, we have to protect like 19 different characteristics. And so it seems like somewhat, maybe people might think that's not it seems like overly simplistic, but it isn't. If a girl wants to wear pants, what is the issue around that? I understand the fear in parents because I think, unfortunately, this is like being very honest, right? That unfortunately people who are queer or gay have long been criminalized, right? It has been seen as outside of society, as something that is very problematic. And we know that isn't true. Culturally, we know that isn't true. So parents might come saying, why are you teaching my child about sex, right? We've heard even like pornography, right? And so we need to kind of de-link those things. Soji is not sex ed. It isn't meant to touch those topics at all. It's just the idea of respect. And I have to say, a 10-year UBC study that looked at like GSAs, gender sexuality alliances, found that the bullying reduced in like, they looked at different parts of a school. And the #1 place where bullying went down the most was against young straight boys.
Really?
Yes, because boys are constantly being told, be a man.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Yes.
Don't do that. You know, we talk about men's mental health and boys' mental health. So this idea that we tell boys you can only be this. And so I teach it from a culturally responsive, way, an anti-racist way, and the idea that I want to respect everyone and everybody deserves respect.
You mentioned there were 200 of you.
Yeah.
And
yes.
So what was that all about?
Yeah, no. Yes. I mean, I'm not trying to be naive. We know, and there are governments as well. There's the Conservative Party of BC, the Conservative Party of Canada, and I'm not naming names. I'm just saying, right? Where like on their platforms, they want to remove Soji, right? So I'm just saying what they're saying. I'm not putting onto them anything. There's obviously that, and that's where power matters, right? Who has the power, right? So it might be a smaller group, but it's a very powerful
Would
one.
you ever get into politics?
I did run for MP in 2019.
Yeah.
Very phenomenal experience, I found. Again, a story for another time in terms of the specifics. Right now, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing because I wear a lot of hats in the community, and it's just there's the freedom there to kind of play and to engage in some very intersectional ways that I think as a politician I wouldn't have. I would be forced to be quiet, perhaps, on certain things. So not right now. The door's not closed, but not right now.
The door should never be closed.
The door should never be closed. I will say this. I think every person needs to realize they are powerful, no matter their title, their position. You don't have to be someone famous. You don't have to even be a teacher or whatever. Every daily person should see that their voice has power and to speak to your politicians. Because it takes a lot to win, you know? Some very good people will never get into office, right?
That's true.
But just make sure, like, we are in a democracy. We cannot forget that. So as frustrating as things might be, reach out to your politicians, have those conversations, right? Or come to someone like me and I'll go for you.
What's happening in the world today?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like we haven't learned our lessons.
Yeah.
That's scary. No, I know that things will get better. I really believe that. I think there are people that are willing to fight. The concern is that those in power don't seem to care. And so could they make a decision that is so harmful? Yes. But you and I, our own communities, like we can gather. We can try to live. We can try to...
On a smaller way, we can start and then maybe it'll spread.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking over Hands Against Racism.
It is my absolute honor. I want to continue your tradition. And as we said, right, it's really thinking about small scale, but, local to global. So nothing stops us. And, that's the good thing about social media. You can have an event and then spread it around the world, right, very easily.
That's right.
Bringing community together, keeping, that idea of that hand, right?
Yes.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And yes, and raising your hand, like literally as an act, right? Saying no, right? Saying stop, whatever people might see that hand as. And so it's really a great honor, and I really hope to continue the tradition and change the world, right? Through something as amazing as Raise Your Hands Against Racism.
I'm going to bring you back again, Annie.
Sounds good.
Thank you for being our Woman in Focus today.
Thank you so much.
Annie Ohana has been our Woman in Focus today. Don't go away. We'll be right back.